don't talk about is, Canelo. Steroids. Y'all don't talk about that. So we don't know. We really don't know all the fighters he beat, and he was not. What he could have been not clean in a lot of fights.
He likes to stay humble. It's one for the office. Sorry, in the middle.
So I may do another exhibition this year.
Which one?
What do you think of that, Floyd?
I think Pacquiao, he chose a hell of a fighter. Shit, we got so many fighters at PBC. I thought he was with PBC, but he's not.
Aware of the weight difference, Terence Crawford isn't taking any chances ahead of his clash with Canelo Alvarez. Instead of training solo, he's brought in the experience and insight of the first man to ever defeat Canelo in the ring. Crawford has kicked off training camp early, aiming to put on weight and get comfortable with it well before their scheduled fight in September. He does plan to take a short break midway through the year, but his focus remains locked on the task ahead.
What would Floyd Mayweather's mindset after being the first guy to beat Canelo Alvarez? Thoughts on a fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez? I had people that stated that they feel like that Floyd Mayweather would essentially hate on the situation.
Hold me back. Hold me back. Hold me. You'll fight Eddie. You fucking stuff. Oh, you fuckers. He said, oh, you fuckers. Hold me. Just fucking go.
Crawford had invited Floyd Mayweather to his training camp well in advance, and the two shared a great time together. As expected, Mayweather focused primarily on sharpening Crawford's defense. They worked on the shoulder roll, added more body feints, and even threw in some dancing, true to Mayweather's signature style.
He went on the ring with Teddy Atlas.
What's that mean?
He said you're the most overrated Mexican champion in history. He said that Salvador Sanchez and
boxeador mexicano.
Más popular,
pero sin causa. Sí.
Fucking crazy, that guy. and you think he knows boxing? Fuck.
I mean, it's not a secret that that's a fight that's been discussed by a lot of us and by a lot of people in the sport for quite a while. Certainly, it's a fight that Turki Al-Sheikh from Saudi Arabia has shown a lot of interest in. And of course, if it's going to get made, someone's going to have to put up a lot of guaranteed money. And he's probably the person that's going to do it. He's obviously been working closely with Terence Crawford. He was involved with the Terence Crawford's last fight that took place in August when he fought Israel Madrimov.
Canelo Alvarez was just 23 years old when he faced Floyd Mayweather, who was in his mid-30s at the time. Yet, Mayweather's defense was so masterful that Canelo barely managed to land clean shots over the course of 12 rounds. Over the years, it's been an honor for Mayweather to train several top-tier boxers, including Ryan Garcia. His deep understanding of the fight game has also helped fighters like Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis. Now, his latest trainee is Terence Crawford, who had a few words to share with fans about his experience training with Floyd.
He's hung tough, but Bud Crawford shows once again why he's the #1 pound for pound on many people's lists, including my own. I don't think it was going into this fight was a question of whether Bud was going to win this fight. It was a matter of, he's about 35. He's had a 13-month layoff. Usually things start to, fighters start to look a little bit more ordinary when these circumstances start to present themselves. So we wanted to see if Crawford, how he was looking under the current circumstances, and if there was any signs of aging. I think Avanesian really, fought as good a fight as he can fight. Listen, this is a durable guy. He stays in your face. You can see why he upsets certain people, because he knows how to mentally stress you by and also physically stress you by staying in your face like that, cutting off the ring and forcing you to work when you don't want to work.
You might wonder why Terence Crawford, a seasoned professional with 40 fights under his belt, would seek out Floyd Mayweather's help so late in his career, just a few fights away from retirement. But his reason is solid. Crawford's upcoming bout marks his debut at 168 pounds, and to prepare for this jump, he turned to Mayweather, a 5-division world champion, for some valuable lessons. In a recent interview, Mayweather even reflected on his iconic fight against Canelo Alvarez, which also took place in a higher weight class.
not official, but it may be a done deal. Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez. Early thoughts? What do you think?
Yeah, look, the first thought is, can he handle the weight jump? Can he handle the weight jump? He being Crawford against Madridov, people are going to say, "Oh, he had some hiccups." Who don't have hiccups? When you eat something that's a little difficult to eat, and Madridov was a little difficult to eat. He's not easy to digest. He's a good fighter. When you eat something that's a little tough to digest, you get hiccups, right? So come on, he's human. So he had a few hiccups. He won the fight. He's Terence Crawford. A lot of people say, "Oh, Teddy, you make him so good. You're always saying how great Crawford is." But who's he beating? He unified the what was his first division? Lightweight. Then he unified the junior. Then he unified the junior welter. Then he unified the welter. I think I got the weight classes right. It doesn't matter.
I had one fight at a catchweight, but it wasn't part of my plan. Anyone can look it up online. It's well documented. The story with Canelo is that at one point, he thought I was scared of him, that I was avoiding the fight. He even said, "Floyd doesn't want to fight me. I'm willing to meet him at 152 pounds. So, I called his bluff and said, "If you want to do it, let's do it at 152 pounds. After Canelo made the weight, it wasn't like there was a strict rule that he couldn't gain weight. He weighed in at 152 or 152.5, but I came in at 151 or 151.5. And when he stepped into the ring, he was closer to 168 or even 170 pounds.
Canelo was 23 with 43 fights and 30 knockouts, and the world said he was inexperienced. I was 36 with 40-something fights, and to tell you the truth,
Terence Crawford felt this move was perfect for him, especially with so much to learn about the new weight class he'll be entering in less than a month. While boxing fans have often drawn comparisons between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Terence Crawford, Crawford has never denied Mayweather his due credit. He respects Floyd deeply, and when asked about their similarities, Crawford had even more to say. Recognizing Mayweather's greatness, Crawford praised him, acknowledging his achievements in the sport.
Es esta, fíjate. Pam, 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 pam. Hun, hun, hun. Gancho. Hun, hun, hun. Digo. Hun, hun, hun. Eso. Hun, hun, hun. Hun, hun, hun. Eso. Hun, hun, hun. Eso.
Continuing, Crawford mentioned, "We have quite a lot in common in some areas, but we're also a bit different. I tend to take more chances earlier in my career." He added, "Floyd also took a lot of risks early on, but it depends on which Floyd Mayweather you're referring to. Are you talking about Money Mayweather or Pretty Boy Floyd? Pretty Boy was the aggressive, kill or be killed fighter. Then, after dealing with hand injuries, he had to adjust and couldn't maintain that same power. As he moved up in weight, he started fighting bigger opponents, which also changed his style."
When he fought Canelo, and he was like standing right in front of Canelo, and Canelo's just whiffing, it was a life lesson. And then you look at how good Canelo's head movement got after that fight, when he realized it. I mean, my God, when he fought Danny Jacobs, and Canelo's just standing right in front of him, bobbing. That's all what he learned from fighting Floyd.
Listen, Canelo needs to understand he's a different fighter now. The deterioration is there. He's not the same guy. He's not that destroyer who's looking for knockouts early and keeps a pace and a pressure on you. He throws 30 punches around. You're not the same guy. So telling everyone you're going to knock them out and then going into, 6 decisions in a row now? Scores a knockdown every time. The power's still there. The problem is the pace and the ability to carry on and push. That's the real difference, and that comes with age. He's 34 going on 45 at this, as far as I'm concerned. He's got a ton of fights, been around for a long time, doesn't have that same desire, the same drive to take the chances against these younger, bigger guys, because he is fighting younger, bigger guys. So you got to keep that in mind as well.
As Crawford mentioned, they have a lot in common, but boxing fans and analysts often compare both fighters to determine who the better one is. In fact, one recent source named Crawford as the likely winner in a potential showdown between the two. However, when it comes to pure boxing skill, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who has delivered more masterclasses in the sweet science than Floyd Mayweather.
No, I'm saying at once.
Right.
I'm saying I started at 135. I'm just saying, like, say if Canelo was the champion at 147 to go up 168.
Right in one jump.
Yeah, in one jump.
It's a big jump too. 21 pounds. It's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight.
As Crawford pointed out, Pretty Boy Floyd was the more aggressive boxer, always taking the fight to his opponents, while Money Mayweather, years later, would outsmart and outpoint opponents with his brilliant boxing IQ. No matter which style you prefer, both versions of Mayweather cemented his legacy in the sport. Meanwhile, boxing fans are still in awe of what Crawford did to Spence in their last fight. The power he displayed, repeatedly snapping through Spence's guard, landing punches in tight spaces, and the timing of his counterpunches. It was a masterclass of supreme boxing ability, and though it wasn't his first time showing this, it was something we'd never seen against a fighter of Spence's caliber. When it comes to pure boxing ability, it's hard to argue that anyone surpasses Mayweather. But Crawford's style, though different, is equally effective and explosive in its own right. So, how would their styles match up if Crawford were to face Mayweather in his prime? Who would land the jab first? Who would be the more successful counterpuncher? There are so many ways this could play out, making it tough to predict. It might just be best to call this one a toss-up.
I'll say he is the hardest, for sure. One of the fighters that hit very hard was Angulo. You know, he's a Cuban guy, and he punched very hard too, so I'll say both of them are like the same, but, you know, with Canelo, I was just mentally ready for his shots. You know, I already told myself, I know I'm gonna get hit. I know I'm gonna get hit on my chin, but it's, you know, I gotta bite down on my mouthpiece and push. You know, and look what happened in the third round. I got hit with a left hook. We'd be practicing in camp the whole time, you know, keeping my right hand to my chin, and I wound up just moving, and he connected right on my chin. And you see how I punched my glove, you know, that's like a thing for me when my last time when I got dropped, I was punching my gloves, 'cause I'm like, damn, I got hit with a shot. I'm not supposed to be on the floor. But, you know, it comes to boxing. You know, the greats done got dropped, you know, got hurt. But it's about how you come back and respond.
Go crazy with Canelo. Oh, he's too big. He's a good night for Crawford. He's going to bed. All that stuff. Not so fast. Not so fast. Don't forget that the other guy is bringing something to the party too. And he's bringing the things that hopefully I just described to you guys in the best way I can. When it gets closer, we'll get more thorough with it. But right now, I think you know where I'm leaning. And I'll make it even clearer where I'm leaving. So there isn't a lot of suspense. I ain't going against Crawford. Okay? I do think he's that special guy. I think Canelo's special too. But I think Crawford's special in a little bit, even more so. Even more so. He hasn't learned how to lose yet. I think he does have those special ingredients that go beyond the physical genetics, the physical DNA. So that's it. Okay? Good. You don't like it? Too bad.
I think that was a fair breakdown. I mean, listen, those ingredients you're touching on with the smaller man are the same ingredients you saw in Usyk. Abilities and ways to find a way to win.
I'd like to know what the weights that in this fight, but has that been figured out yet? Probably not, because that to me is a variable there.
How many times have we seen Mayweather lure his opponents to the center of the ring, where he would absorb the information, analyze it, and then devise a blueprint to systematically pick them apart? Mayweather used his ring IQ and his mantra of hit and not get hit to guide him all the way to the Hall of Fame as an undefeated 5-division world champion. Crawford, crowned undisputed champion at junior welterweight and now at welterweight, has displayed a similarly high ring IQ throughout his career. While Mayweather's hand speed, especially with his counterpunching, was legendary, Crawford's slashing angles and whiplash delivery give him an edge in speed. When comparing their knockout power, Mayweather's 50 wins include 27 by knockout, while Crawford's 40 victories have seen 31 by knockout, and is still adding to that total.
Everybody, how's it going? Marcos Villegas for FightHype TV, powered by Stagefront VIP, being joined here with Teddy Atlas. Teddy, I got to get just right to it. Terence Crawford wanting to move up 3 weight classes to fight Canelo Alvarez. You as a trainer, what's your insight on that? And I don't know, would you advise a fighter to move up 3 weight classes to fight someone like Canelo?
You got to remember, he's already moved up 3 weight classes. So now you're talking 6, if you add on 3. You know? Yeah, my math is different than yours, being that I've been in this business my whole life. So 6 is a lot. 6 weight classes. That's a lot. 3, you know, he had the skeleton for it. Does he have the skeleton to go up 6? I don't know that he does, but I know he's got this. I know he's got this. I know he's got the character, and I know he's got the mind. I know he has special gifts that very few fighters have.
Re-enter Crawford's wizardry over Spence, as he dropped him 3 times en route to a dominant 9th round TKO. Defeating a powerful, body-snatching fighter like Spence, someone who systematically broke down the likes of Kell Brook, Sean Porter, and Yordanis Ugas to become the unified world welterweight champion, was anything but easy. Yet, Crawford made it look effortless, with his power being a key factor. Mayweather, known for his defensive brilliance, often used the Philly shell, raising his shoulder to absorb punches while using his free hand to counter. It was defensive boxing and counterpunching at its finest, and Crawford's own defensive prowess, paired with his explosive counterpunching, made him a force to be reckoned with.
A few weeks ago, you heard what Terence "Bud" Crawford had to say on why he wants to take on Saul Canelo Alvarez.
I just want the opportunity, you know, to fight the best fighter in my generation that's out there. You know, he's the most accomplished fighter, and I would just, you know, just like to, you know, fight another great.
Which is a very noble reason. I mean, it's a reason that I can get behind. If you notice, his primary reason isn't money. He did say it'd be the biggest fight, which, you know, you do want a big fight, but I don't think he meant monetarily, which the money comes, okay? But what he's saying is he want to test himself versus the best. And I think he's telling the truth here, right? Of course you want big money and stuff like that, but I think his swan song is just him test himself up against the very best. Those are the reasons the war room can get behind.
Are you tired of people asking you about Terence yet?
No, look, I always say, I respect Terence Crawford. He's a very talented fighter, but he just win one big fight. If you see his record, he just beat one good fighter like Errol Spence is.
Yes.
But other than that, I don't think he's beating other great fighter like Spence. He did a really good job with the Spence. He did like almost look very easy. But I knew Terence Crawford is a great fighter. But you know, you never know in boxing.
Crawford certainly has solid defense himself, but Mayweather took defensive boxing to a level of near perfection. So, how would a fight between a prime Crawford and Mayweather actually play out? And who would come out on top? After a tense first round where each boxer tries to feel out the other, we'd see Crawford being the more active and busier fighter early on, launching and landing shots, even if many of them are absorbed by Mayweather's shoulder and elbow. As the fight progresses into the middle rounds, Mayweather's style would begin to take over. He'd pepper Crawford with jabs, winning some rounds while using his head movement and defensive mastery to evade Crawford's attacks.
Now, Canelo hasn't ever said he wanted the fight, kind of downplayed it to a certain degree, but it wasn't that long ago. I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago, he was doing an appearance and he was asked about it and he didn't close the door on it. In the past, he sort of like closed the door on it and was like, I'm not interested. He's like, listen, I'll talk to anybody and listen to what they have to say about the deal, any kind of deal. So in my mind, that sort of at least cracked open the door to have the conversation. Like he wasn't just saying, forget it. In terms of working with Turkey or anybody else. So I think that Canelo is a smart person in terms of his boxing, but also in terms of his business. And when he looks around at the landscape and he wants to make a huge amount of money, like all top fighters or any fighter for that matter, and he looks and sees who can I fight where I can make the biggest score, you know, in a big time fight. And I would say to you that in terms of at least American boxing or in this side of the world, It's not like Tyson Fury and Joshua in the UK.
Despite Crawford's steady pressure, his firepower could potentially get to Mayweather, maybe even enough to hurt the legend at times. While this fight would be close, Crawford's fighting skill and flashy punches might be just enough to earn him points in the eyes of the judges through his volume and pressure, possibly leading to a decision win over Mayweather's style. But moving up in weight isn't as simple as it seems. To elevate his game, Crawford is determined not to repeat the mistakes Canelo Alvarez made years ago when he faced Dmitry Bivol. Alvarez's lofty ambitions eventually caught up with him after he met his match in the undefeated WBA light heavyweight champion Bivol. In their fight, Alvarez, the 4-division champion, landed a career-low 84 punches in 12 rounds. Bivol used his defense and accurate punching to pull off the upset via unanimous decision inside T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, with all three judges scoring it 115 to 113 for Bivol. CBS Sports scored it 109 to 119 in favor of Bivol, and the fight never appeared competitive. 6 months after becoming the first undefeated super middleweight champion, Alvarez moved back up to 175 pounds for the first time since claiming the WBA title from Sergey Kovalev in 2019. During the same week, there were rumors of his potential move to heavyweight. However, Alvarez was unable to break through Bivol's technical strength. Bivol, a former Russian amateur star, excelled at neutralizing Alvarez's offense. His jab was precise throughout, and whenever Alvarez landed a single punch, Bivol countered with clean combinations. Bivol allowed Alvarez to stay in close range but never gave him a clear strike zone. Most of the damage Alvarez landed was to Bivol's left shoulder and arm, as Bivol remained firm behind his high guard. Alvarez, whose only other loss came against Floyd Mayweather in 2013, connected on just 17% of his punches against Bivol and was outlanded by a margin of 150 to 284, according to CompuBox. After the fight, Alvarez admitted to reporters that he thought he was ahead on the scorecards going into the final rounds. "He's a great winner," Alvarez said. "Sometimes in boxing, you win or lose. I lost today, and he won." He also praised Bivol's boxing skills, noting, "He's a fighter who comes in and goes out. I also felt his power. It was a good win for him." To avoid similar setbacks, Crawford has sought Mayweather's advice, learning from his vast experience. As for Mayweather, his results as both a trainer and a fighter speak for themselves. The most recent boxer who spent time with him shocked the world with a big win earlier this year.
Can't look forward past Saturday, but do you feel like a fight like Terence Crawford? I see he wants to fight, he's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
You know, everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better, no? Terence Crawford is a great fighter, he's a good fighter, but you know, like I say, he's weight classes for a reason. You know, I'm focused 100% on Berlanga, and then you never know what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
During an extensive interview with Patrick Bet-David on his podcast, Ryan Garcia, the junior welterweight contender from Victorville, California, opened up about his well-known friendship with Floyd Money Mayweather. Garcia made it clear that he respects the Hall of Fame fighter more than most people, even those within his own inner circle. When Bet-David asked which high-profile person in his life had the license to offer him harsh, unfiltered criticism, Garcia didn't hesitate. He immediately named Mayweather. The discussion then shifted to the much-talked-about potential showdown between two of the sport's best, Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Bet-David asked Garcia for his thoughts on the possible battle between the extremely talented Alvarez and Crawford, regarded as one of the best in boxing today.
A few weeks ago, you heard what Terence "Bud" Crawford had to say on why he wants to take on Saul Canelo Alvarez.
I just want the opportunity, to fight the best fighter in my generation that's out there. He's the most accomplished fighter, and I would just like to, fight another great.
Which is a very noble reason. I mean, it's a reason that I can get behind. If you notice, his primary reason isn't money. He did say it'd be the biggest fight, which, you do want a big fight, but I don't think he meant monetarily, which the money comes, okay? But what he's saying is he want to test himself versus the best. And I think he's telling the truth here, right? Of course you want big money and stuff like that, but I think his swan song is just him testing himself up against the very best. Those are the reasons the war room can get behind.
What are your thoughts on the upcoming Canelo versus Crawford fight? Do you think Crawford can make a successful jump to super middleweight, or will Canelo prove too dominant? Share your predictions and opinions in the comments below.
After claiming the undisputed super middleweight title in 2021, Canelo Alvarez fell short in his challenge against the then WBA light heavyweight champion Dmitry Bivol. However, the 34-year-old has since bounced back with 5 consecutive wins, defeating top fighters like Gennady Golovkin, Jermall Charlo, and Edgar Berlanga. Legendary boxing trainer turned analyst Teddy Atlas recently shared his thoughts on the potential mega fight between Canelo and Terence Crawford, stating that it would be difficult for him to go against the American southpaw. Very few people have the appetite or inclination for challenging themselves. Mr. Crawford does. I'm never going against that guy. Father Time might catch him, but I don't know if a weight class can catch him, Atlas said. It's a great challenge because Canelo is a tremendous fighter, bigger, stronger, and he can punch and time you. But just because you're smaller, Crawford will come up with a game plan that will make the other guy use his size. Speaking to FightHype TV, Atlas gave a glowing reference to the undefeated Crawford, who is linked to a potential fight with Canelo in May or September. Crawford has all the tools to win a third undisputed crown. Any serious boxing fan knows Crawford can beat Canelo. You have to know boxing to say that, Atlas remarked. Should Canelo and Crawford fight, the 2 weekend dates closest to Cinco de Mayo, Saturday, May 3rd, or Saturday, May 10th, are potential options. However, Canelo might be waiting to see the outcome of the February 22nd light heavyweight bout between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Beterbiev defeated Bivol in their first fight last year. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on boxing news, moments, events, and action, stay linked with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss quality content like this. Until next time, peace out.